Do you have these top 5 most rare and valuable Washington quarter dollars worth a lot of big money that could make you rich? These quarters is both extremely rare and highly sought after. These 5 valuable quarters that could be hiding in your change the next time you rummage through your spare change for laundry or your morning coffee. What if we told you that a humble-looking 1965 Washington quarter could be hiding a jaw-dropping fortune? Yes, you heard that right. Some of these coins have fetched thousands, tens of thousands, and even whispers of values pushing into the millions. Welcome to the mysterious and electrifying story of the 1965-era Washington quarter. Whether you're a seasoned collector, a casual enthusiast, or someone who just found a coin in their change jar. The historical background: the year 1965 marked a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage. Due to a nationwide coin shortage and rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint made a bold and unprecedented move. They eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters. Prior to this, quarters were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper. But starting in 1965, the Mint began producing quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition, a cost-saving solution that would forever alter the course of numismatics. The rare errors that made the 1965 quarter legendary. With the transition from silver to clad coinage, the U.S. Mint's machinery and materials underwent significant adjustments. This chaotic environment gave rise to some incredible and rare minting mistakes. Here are the most valuable and desirable errors found on the 1965 Washington quarter. The 1965 silver planchet error, one of the most famous and valuable mistakes. Value: depending on condition, these errors have sold for $7,000 to over $20,000. Some examples in pristine condition have fetched more than $35,000 at auction. Transitional error strikes. Value: transitional errors can range in value from $2,000 to $15,000 plus, especially if paired with other visual oddities. Double die obverse, DDO, value: high-grade examples have brought $1,000 to $3,500 or more at auction. Off-center strikes and broad strikes. Value: depending on severity and visibility, these coins can be worth $500 to $2,000 plus. Struck on wrong planchet errors. Value: these misstrikes can sell for anywhere from $1,000 to over $10,000, depending on uniqueness. Record sales that shocked the coin world. Collectors go wild for rare error coins, and the 1965 quarter is no exception. Let's look at a few jaw-dropping auction results. 1965 silver quarter, NGC MS67, sold for $12,650 at Heritage Auctions. 1965 quarter struck on silver planchet, PCGS MS64, realized $16,800 in a 2020 auction. Double die obverse 1965 quarter, multiple examples have sold for $1,000 to $2,500. Rumors in the numismatic community suggest that unverified examples with potentially higher grades could command values upwards of $50,000 to $100,000 if authenticated and sold under the right conditions. Some collectors even speculate that a perfect 1965 silver quarter in MS68 or higher could break into the $1 million range due to its historical importance and rarity. Your pocket change could be a treasure chest. What if we told you that a simple 1969 Washington quarter sitting quietly in your change jar could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes, it's true. Some 1969 quarters are packing hidden surprises, rare minting errors that make them worth small fortunes. Chapter 1, 1969, a year of minting mayhem. The year 1969 was another step forward in the copper-nickel-clad coin era, following the 1965 transition away from silver. Although the U.S. Mint had largely settled into the clad coin production process, occasional mishaps and unusual errors continued to slip through. These mistakes created some of the most collectible and valuable Washington quarters known today. Rare and valuable errors in the 1969 Washington quarter. 1969, S double die obverse, DDO. One example sold at auction for $35,000, and another specimen in superb condition reportedly sold privately for over $80,000. Off-center strikes. Value: depending on condition and strike, these can bring $300 to $3,000. Broad-struck errors. Value: can sell for $100 to $1,000 plus. Wrong planchet strikes. Value: these quirky misstrikes can sell for $2,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the rarity of the incorrect planchet. Clipped planchets. Value: depending on size and visibility, Clipped planchet quarters are worth $50 to $500 plus. How to identify a 1969 S double die quarter. So, how do you know if your 1969 S quarter is the rare double die obverse? Here's what to check. Date doubling. Look closely at the 1969 date. Doubling will appear like a shadow or second impression. Liberty. Heavy and noticeable doubling in the letters. In God we trust. One of the most prominent doubling zones. Look especially at the letters, God. Strike quality. These errors are usually strong strikes, not weak or worn. If you see any of these features, stop, and have your coin examined by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. If genuine, you could be holding tens of thousands of dollars in your hand. Auction records that turned heads. Let's look at some real-world numbers from coin auctions. 1969 S double die obverse, PCGS 55 Australian dollars, sold for $35,250. 1969 SDDO, PCGS 58 Australian dollars, a reported private sale fetched more than $80,000. Off-center 1969 D quarter, sold for $1,200. 1969 broad strike error, uncirculated, sold for $850. These aren't fantasy numbers. They are real transactions, showing that a lucky find in your pocket change could fund a car, a vacation, or even part of a house. A 1979 D Washington quarter could be worth not just a few bucks but potentially hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. It sounds like a collector's dream, but thanks to rare and valuable mint errors, this dream is a reality for some. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating story behind the 1979 D Washington quarter, exploring the rarest minting mistakes, record-breaking auction prices. The 1979 D Washington quarter, a coin in transition. 1979 was a year of innovation and change for the U.S. Mint. It marked the beginning of the Susan B. Anthony Dollar series and continued the long-running production of the Washington quarter. The Mint was producing billions of coins, and in the rush, a few major errors slipped past quality control, leaving us with highly collectible pieces today. These errors have made some 1979 D quarters highly desirable in the eyes of collectors and auction houses alike. Most valuable 1979 D quarter errors. 1979 D off-center strike. Value, between $150 and $1,500 plus, depending on the degree of misalignment. 1979 D broad strike error. Value, from $100 to over $1,000 in uncirculated grades. 1979 D double die obverse, DDO. Value, known specimens can reach $500 to $2,000 depending on condition. 1979 D on wrong planchet. Value, these can sell for $2,000 to $10,000 plus, depending on the planchet type. Clipped planchet error. Value, ranges from $50 to $500, depending on the size and completeness of the clip. Auction highlights that shocked collectors. Let's look at real-world numbers that prove how valuable these 1979 D quarters can be. 1979 D quarter off-center strike, 65% off-center, sold for $1,320 at auction. Broad-struck 1979 D in MS66, hammered at $780. Double die obverse, uncirculated, privately sold for $1,250. Struck on a 1-cent planchet, verified sale at $4,500. Major clipped planchet with full date, auctioned for $385. These aren't myths, they're verifiable results that prove the power of error coins in the modern marketplace. How to identify 1979 D errors like a pro. If you're lucky enough to have a 1979 D quarter, here's how to spot the valuable ones. Use a magnifier, especially important for spotting DDOs and minor planchet errors. Examine the edge. Broad-struck errors and planchet issues are most visible on the rim. Weigh the coin. Standard quarters weigh 5.67 grams. Anything drastically lighter or heavier should be checked. Date and mint mark. Make sure that D is present and study the alignment for off-center or misaligned dies. What if the 1982 P Washington quarter sitting in your pocket change isn't worth just 25 cents, but potentially hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? It may sound unbelievable, but rare minting errors from that year have transformed these coins into jaw-dropping collectibles. 1982, a pivotal year for the U.S. Mint. 1982 was a significant year for U.S. coinage. It marked a shift in coin production, especially for pennies, with changes in composition due to rising copper costs. But quarters weren't immune to chaos. The mint was operating at full throttle, and quality control slipped just enough to create some rare and valuable mistakes. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck over 500 million Washington quarters that year, didn't use a mint mark, but P is used by collectors today to identify the Philly strikes. Among these coins are some wild errors that have collectors salivating. Most valuable 1982 P quarter errors. 1982 P double die obverse, DDO. Value between $250 and $2,500 plus, depending on grade and clarity. 1982 P off-center strike. Value anywhere from $100 to $1,000 plus, depending on severity. 1982 P on wrong planchet. Value $1,000 to $10,000 plus, especially for verified copper planchet errors. 1982 P broad strike error. Value ranges from $100 to $1,200, based on grade and severity. Clipped planchet error. Value from $50 to $500 plus, especially with full date visible. Record auction sales that turned heads. Check out some of the eye-popping sales from recent years. 1982 P quarter with major DDO, graded MS65, sold for $1,750. Off-center strike, 60% off, hammered at $960. Broad struck in high grade, sold for $875. Wrong planchet on 1 cent copper planchet, verified auction sale of $3,900. Clipped planchet with visible date and lettering, sold for $425. These are real sales backed by auction houses and grading services, proof that these coins are in demand and climbing in value. How to identify valuable 1982 P quarters. Here's how you can be your own coin detective. Magnifying glass, essential for spotting small errors like DDOs. Digital scale, normal weight is about 5.67 grams. Odd weights may indicate wrong planchets. Edge inspection, look for missing reeds, spread rims, or other broad strike signs. Full date visibility, especially important for clipped and off-center strikes. What if I told you that a simple 1983 P Washington quarter, yes, the one possibly jingling in your pocket or hiding in your coin jar, could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even over $15,000. We'll uncover the electrifying history of the 1983 P quarter, spotlighting the rarest errors, jaw-dropping auction results, and everything you need to know to turn spare change into serious cash. Stay tuned till the end, because you might just become the next lucky collector to strike coin gold. 1983 P, the year that minted mistakes. The early 80s were a chaotic time for the US Mint. In 1983, budget cuts meant no uncirculated mint sets were produced, leading collectors to hunt down pristine coins from circulation. Combine that scarcity with lax quality control, and boom, a perfect storm for some of the most incredible error quarters in U.S. history. Most valuable 1983 P quarter errors. 1983 P double die reverse, DDR. Value ranges from $500 to over $15,000 in high mint state grades. 1983 P off-center strike. Value $100 to $1,200 plus, depending on severity and visibility. 1983 P struck on a copper penny planchet. Value upwards of $3,000 to $10,000 depending on condition. Broad strike error with no reading. Value typically $150 to $800, but rarer examples have crossed $1,000. Clipped planchet errors. Value $75 to $600, depending on how dramatic and complete the clip is. Legendary auction sales that shocked collectors. Let's look at real-world examples of 1983 P quarter error coins that shocked the auction block. 1983 P DDR, reverse doubling, MS67, sold for a mind-blowing $15,275. Broad struck 1983 P with full details, hammered at $875. Copper planchet strike, wrong metal, auctioned for $3,650. Off-center strike, 35% off, final bid reached $690. Clipped planchet with full date and mint mark, fetched $425. Each of these sales confirms what numismatists have known for decades. 1983 was a year of hidden treasures. Where to find these rare 1983 P quarters? No need to spend thousands buying coins. You can hunt these quarters for free or cheap. Bank rolls, grab quarter rolls from your bank and start searching. Coin shows and estate sales. Collectors sometimes overlook minor errors. Online auctions and marketplaces, be cautious, but sometimes deals slip through. Your pocket change. Yes, even today, people still find valuable 1983 p-era quarters in circulation.